Hello, welcome back to the vlog. Today, we're going to be going through why I started a Supp company. And I say I very loosely because I do have a business partner. And it's basically a bit of an understanding why we started IQ Supps. Now, what I'm going to be doing is essentially just bringing you through a little bit of the backstory, a little bit of the understanding as to what we were wanting to achieve, what we're trying to achieve with IQ, and also give you a little bit of a glimpse behind the scenes as to, what we're actually doing to try and make this successful. Because we found out very, very quickly that it's just not as easy as get a product and sell. It'd be fucking amazing if it was. But that's just not the case. And we learned that very, very, very quickly. It's not to say that things have been easy, or it's not to say things have been overly hard. It's just to say that it's probably a little bit different to what we first thought. And I'm going to give you a little bit of an insight into, the why, what we're aiming to do, where we're aiming to go, and hopefully bring you guys along for the ride. And if at some point in the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years and I'm still making videos and vlogs for YouTube, hopefully I have a production team by then, that it's fucking good just to see where it began. Now, it's currently March, and we first got our hands on our product back in August of 2025. This has been something that we had been essentially planning since September of 2024. September, October of 2024, my business partner, Alex, he came to me and said, do you want to start a Supp company? And I was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. At the time, I was trying to look for different ventures to actually get myself into and expand out from just coaching. And I was going to be very particular about who I went into business with, because picking a good business partner is crucial. If you get stuck with a really shitty business partner, then you're going to end up having to be with that person. It's kind of like a weird marriage. It's either going to end in flames and you lose everything, or you're going to be able to actually push back and forward between each other and try and keep each other accountable, with realizing that at the end of the day, we only have each other's best interests at heart and the company's best interests at heart. Now, as I said, it hasn't been fucking easy. If anything, it's actually probably been a lot harder than I thought. And maybe I was a little bit more naive, I guess you could say. But it is very different to a service-based business. So coaching is more of a service-based business. I personally provide a service for a person who comes to me, whereas Supps and supplementation is of a product-based business. Previously to coaching, I was working as a national sales manager for an online supplement company. So I have a fairly extensive background in supplementation, and I was really fucking good at my job. I am really good at my job. I'm great at sales and I'm great at all that sort of thing. But there's a huge difference between working for a very well-established company that already has a huge client base coming into it, and starting your own company. And not just starting your own company, but only being able to start your own company with one Supp. Now, we only have one product at the moment. It is a pre-workout. It is Synapse. We have 2 separate flavors. We have watermelon and we have grape. A lot of people would look at something like that and be like, oh, there's no point starting until you can actually start with multiple products. And we thought this at the start. Honestly, we did. We thought, well, why would we bother starting a company if we can only start with one product? And then we had to evaluate, because at the end of the day, everyone has to start somewhere, and we're better off just starting now and only having realistically to deal with one product and one lot of problems and one of all of that, then have a multitude of things go wrong. And not only that, to be realistic, it's fucking expensive to start a company. Now, just to get the pre-workout alone was in the tens of thousands of dollars. Once we take into consideration minimum order quantity, shipping, etc., it was, not a cheap task, but there's more costs that go into it than just the actual product itself. Everything from having to actually set up the company and become directors and all the rest of it. There's all these little costs involved: insurances, shipping, boxes, labels, software, programs, all of it. all these little costs start to add up. And when we're starting to factor that in, it was like, okay, cool. Well, we can't necessarily get all the products we want to start with right now. However, we can actually get this. And so we started with that. I will be honest, we started off really fucking strong. We started off so good. The hype that we created at the start, given the fact that we didn't really post anything about it until one week we just kind of put up, bang, we have a product. Now, is that the smartest launch strategy in history? Probably not. But it worked really well from an organic perspective at the start. However, what we soon found is that a lot of the people who bought it at the start, they bought it because their friends or their family or their clients or whatever the case might be, and they wanted to support us. And as with any sort of business, unless you're constantly jamming it down someone's throat, oftentimes they forget, especially in an online world. Now you can walk into any Supp store nowadays and just buy a product straight off the shelf. So if somebody runs out of their product and they're like, okay, cool, I need pre-workout today, they're just gonna go to their gym, or they're gonna go to the Supp store down the road, or Coles or Woolies, and just get one. Whereas having to take the time to order it, it's a little bit more inconvenient. So we're starting to put some plans in place to help factor that in and take that into consideration. At first, we weren't really keen on launching straight into Supp stores because generally speaking, it's quite a large minimum order quantity that they need. And then there's all these other different hoops and variables we've had to jump through. So we started off by just expanding a little bit into more niche boutique gyms. And we're slowly increasing our reach from there. So we have some really cool things in the pipelines that are coming along for that. We've just currently got our 5th gym locked in that we're shipping products out to this week, as far as I'm aware. So our 5th gym locked in, which is really fucking exciting. And it is really cool to see like our product actually getting out there in the world and having people buy it, and even having people buy it that we have no idea. So there's now people buying this product of ours that we wouldn't know. Whereas when we first launched, every single person who bought it was somebody that I knew directly or indirectly. So it's been a transition. So today is Tuesday. I have a call with Alex. We have a catch-up call every single week at 7:30 on a Tuesday. This is something newer that we started to implement this year just because we identified that we need to treat this more like a business and not like a side project / hobby. And we need to be actively involved in pushing it every single week. So that means catching up and having a directors meeting. That means talking over strategy. That means talking about how our social media has been going for the week. It means discussing about future products and what we're looking at there. We currently have 2 in development that we're trying to start the process of actually getting samples and flavors and all the rest of it sorted and locking in our list, because our product is something that we fucking believe in wholeheartedly. We didn't just want to create another generic pre-workout. We wanted something that was going to be the fucking best that you can buy in the Australian market. And I want to say, you know, I might be very biased, but I truly believe we've done that. And from all the feedback we have received from others, we know that we have a really fucking good product. But a good product doesn't mean shit if we can't get it out into the market. A good product doesn't mean anything if we don't have people buying it and consuming it. And that's the journey we're on at the moment, is really pushing our ability to expand our reach and get our product out there in the market, because we know, we are adamant that as soon as more people start to trial this pre-workout, they're going to fucking love it. As soon as people start to get their hands on our next batch of products that we're going to be releasing, they're going to fucking love it, because these are supplements that I would stand by wholeheartedly, that I put time, effort, and energy into developing, that we formulate to the best of our ability. Now, we forego some profit to ensure that we have good dosages in all of our products and our future products at a reasonable price, so that people can actually feasibly consume it and buy it regularly. So come along, run you through a little bit of the backstory, going to give you a little bit more detail around everything, give you a little bit of an insight into the back end. You might hang around a little bit for the meeting, probably won't hear too much. We've got a big meeting today on our social media, and we're going through and discussing all of that, and we're following up and discussing with our blending company as to the next batch of products that we need to get samples for immediately. Come along, experience the journey, and fuck, as I said, we might look back at this in 5 or 10 years time, and instead of me doing this from the spare bedroom of my house, could be doing this from our massive fucking office and home base warehouse. Dream big, manifest, bring it into reality. Let's fucking go.
How's the biking?
We've only gone on one ride so far, mate. But basically, I should be signed up for the Tour de France by the end of the week, which will be good. Nah, it's cool. It was just something to, like, I just wanted something else that I've been really enjoying doing the bike at the gym.
Yeah.
But I didn't really want to continue to go to the gym and do my biking. I've been avoiding. Say hello, Alex. Say hello.
Hello.
Why did you go to look away from the screen?
Because I saw you lean over. I can't see. What am I looking at? Hold on.
You can't see the camera, but just say hello to the screen.
Sup, people?
There we go. Perfect. It's me again. As you might be able to hear in my voice in comparison to the start of this video, I sound like shit. And that is because after I filmed the intro to that video last week, I got crook as fuck. It is now Wednesday. I filmed that video last Tuesday. So today is the 25th of March. I filmed that video on the 17th of March. And yes, we did have the meeting. And funnily enough, I know I mentioned in that intro video that the meeting was going to be quite big, and it ended up being bigger than I could have actually anticipated. The reason being is because we'd identified that there was a shift that needed to happen within our current outreach and social program, and we probably needed to adjust our roles within the company a little bit. Now, from the get-go, a large portion of my role had revolved around social media, organizing, posting, reels, just that sort of thing, right? Strategy, etc. It wasn't working. It just wasn't working, not to the degree that we wanted it to. Now, it's a little bit on both of us because we kind of fucked up. We cranked it at the start and our socials were doing really fucking well. And then we kind of went radio silence. We went dead. We didn't post as frequently. We weren't as consistent. Our engagement started to tank. The people who were engaging, it's just dropped off because that's how Instagram works. And we're riding the wave of Instagram. We might have ran an ad here or there, but it wasn't really anything that either of us know huge amounts on or are very, I would say, experienced in. I don't really know how to run ads very well. It's something I'm probably going to start to learn a lot more about. And Alex is diving in and learning a lot more about that. And yeah, so Alex's role had primarily been like the back end of stuff. So accounts, invoicing and things like that. Whereas now my role is going to shift into a little bit more of the, I guess you would say, wholesale / sales. So kind of just, you know, working to my strengths, which is sales, getting it out there. Since I have organized pretty much all of the gyms that we're in at the moment, I have organized them. So that's now going to be my primary role, is going to be getting it into more gyms, going to be getting it into smaller Supp stores to start off with, none of the really big chains. But get it into just smaller Supp stores that have smaller minimum order quantities, or, you know, a more of a family-based business or something like that, that we can sort of just get our reach in that way. And then from there, Alex has elected to take total control of some of the social media aspect of things. He wants to utilize his experience with video making and things like that, and basically just take control of that aspect of things, and start to get into the ads and things like that as well. So yeah, it was a fucking pretty interesting call. I was actually fairly happy with it in a way, because it kind of plays into the strengths that we both have. Now, he is very meticulous and can sit for hours and hours and hours editing and all the rest of it. My brain doesn't really work that way. As much as I enjoy video editing and making reels and social content and all the rest of it, I already do quite a lot of it for my coaching business. I already do a lot of it for just other things with YouTube, and not just YouTube for the vlogs, but like for the podcast and all that sort of stuff as well. So I'd kind of been getting to a point where with content and all the rest of it, I was becoming a little bit burnt out, because there's only so many times in a week you can film yourself and jump on a CapCut or video editing software, put it all together and put it out into the world before you just fucking hate it. So yeah, it was a pretty fucking cool conversation, and we've jumped on a meeting since then, and we've like really sort of nailed what we're doing, the direction we're taking, and I'm excited about it. I know Alex is excited about it. It's going to be really not necessarily different, but it's just going to be a new approach, because at the end of the day, the definition of insanity is trying to do the same thing over and over again. That isn't working. If it's not working, you need to adjust. And we figured out, hey, it wasn't working. And that was not necessarily on either of us specifically. It was probably on both of us. And just accepting that, and instead of getting butthurt about it and being like, oh, well, it should be working, we just said, fuck it, it's not working. So if it's not working, why don't we try something different? So we're going to be putting a bit more money into marketing. We're going to be putting a bit more money into ads. We're going to be putting a bit more money into that side of things. And I'm going to be taking the reins of getting it out there in the mass market a little bit more, which I think is going to be fun. It allows me to sort of play to my strengths a little bit better, and also get me out of my fucking spare bedroom so I can go and talk to people, which will be also quite fun. But yeah, basically just wanted to just recap about like starting anything, starting a business, starting a company, starting a new job, starting a new hobby, starting anything new comes with fear. It comes with risk. It comes with uneasiness. It comes with a whole range of different feelings, emotions, etc. that could convey someone to stop. I said it in the intro that, you know, we could have looked at it as like, oh, well, we can only start with one pre-workout. What's the point? Or we could look at it as like, well, we can start with one pre-workout. That's the point. Like, we can start, because starting is the biggest thing you can do. Like, it's the only way forward. The only way is through, whether it's a task, a hurdle, a setback. If you're fucking killing it, you just continue to push through. You keep it moving. One of my favorite sayings of all time: if I'm in a good mood, if I'm in a bad mood, if I'm fucking sad, depressed, whatever, or the happiest day of my life, I will just continue to say, keep it moving. Because as long as you are continuing to push forward, and as long as you are continuing forward in some form of direction, then you are going to be okay. It's when you stop, it's when you become stagnant, it's when you settle, it's when you become comfortable, that's when shit falls apart. Successful business owners see it all the time. You reach a level of success, you kind of get a little bit content, you get comfortable, bang, gone. Something happens. Is it always the case? No, but if we were going to look back through history, it's probably a pretty fucking strong chance. So the main thing that matters, on good days, on bad days, on indifferent days, if it's raining, if it's sunny, if it's fucking whatever, if there's a cyclone outside, keep pushing the needle forward in some degree, and good things will come as a result. So continue to stick around. I will recap more. I will try and include more information about IQ as we go. I'll include stuff about how this next process is looking for us. If there's anything in particular you guys actually want to see, hear, know, learn about any part of the process, whether it's been the development of the actual product itself, or formulation, or any of the little intricacies that have popped up that we just didn't even fucking think about or consider, let me know. If you have experience and you want to give some advice, fucking let me know. I'll take it. But yeah, I think it's going to be a fun journey. us just continuing to push the needle forward in a different endeavor. As I mentioned, like I'm still, coaching's first and foremost my main business. It's my main focus. And then I have IQ, and then I really want to put a lot more effort into the podcast this year as well and really grow that. I went to Chris Williamson Modern Wisdom live on Friday night, and I might even do a whole fucking vlog about that itself, purely because or even a podcast episode probably, because the insights that I got from that, and even just in the last 2-3 days, coming off the back of being sick and coming off the back of like a whole range of different things, there's an energy, there's a drive within me to push forward, and it's going to include all of this: the vlog, podcast, coaching, another business that actually, funnily enough, today I sent the first batch of emails out to potential customers. That's really fucking exciting, because this is actually a venture that has had in the pipeline for over 12 months. So I'm not going to give too much away. I will talk about that in its entirety. Actually, I'm gonna do a full podcast or vlog or something on that. You'll see it on YouTube in some regards, but there's some really fucking cool things happening. Really fucking cool things happening. And I know people say it all the time. It's like, big things happening, big things are coming, all this. It's one thing to have a vision or a dream or an idea, but it's another thing to enact upon it. And today solidified for me that action has taken place. And it's a fucking cool feeling. So stick around, come along for the journey. And I can promise you that when we're looking back on this in 12, 24, 48, however many months, life's going to look a hell of a lot different. And I'm fucking excited. So thank you very much for tuning in. I'll catch you on the next one.